Hey everybody, it's Kevin with Interested Explorers, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about our second night out with the Brinkley. And for this second night, we took a much more extensive trip than the first night, so we're going to report all about what happened. And for our second night of camping, we took a much more extensive trip than we did on our first one. We went from the San Diego metro area, which is where we live, all the way to Tucson, Arizona, which, while towing is about a 7.5 hour drive or so, it involved going over the 8 freeway, and for anybody that's ever done that, that involves a pretty significant mountain range that you have to cross. You start in San Diego at essentially sea level, you climb up to 4,000 feet, and then you drop all the way down actually below sea level when you get to El Centro. Then you're kind of cruising. There's a few small mountain ranges or so between El Centro and when you actually get to Tucson. The first thing that we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about how the drive went and how the towing of the Brinkley went. And then after that, we're going to talk about some of the features that and upgrades that we've done to the Brinkley. We've kind of done a bunch of separate videos, but if you haven't seen them all, we're just going to compile them all here and talk about some of that stuff. So let's start with the towing first. So our tow vehicle is a GMC 3500, and this handled the Brinkley very well, and the mountains and all the bumpy roads, and we got stuck in some traffic as well too, so this vehicle worked out really well. While we were going up the mountains, from, like I said, about sea level to 4,000 feet or so, we're probably getting about, 8 miles per gallon. And I think we averaged for the whole trip about 12 miles per gallon. So I was fairly happy with that considering all the mountain driving that we were doing. Didn't feel hardly any sway at all. For anybody that's ever driven through the Arizona deserts, it can get kind of windy. So definitely no sway. Like I said, we were stuck in some traffic too. So we had big rigs on both sides of us and didn't have any issue with their wake of air. So all in all, this handled pretty well. There's a little bit of chucking, but overall, not too bad with the towing of this. All right, now as far as things go for things moving on the inside, actually nothing moved hardly at all. I think the only thing that moved was something in the pantry moved. I think like a bag of chips fell, that's what my wife said. But like otherwise, none of our decorations fell. Everything was nicely secured in place. We figured out the fridge locks, so the fridge didn't swing open or anything like that. The fridge stayed relatively cold as well. One thing I was worried about is that for anybody that's seen any of our other videos, we have a number of Lego decorations on the inside, and as we all know, if those fall, then they're going to break. But none of the Lego decorations fell at all. We didn't have pieces all over the floor. So yeah, even despite some bumpy roads, some windy conditions, some mountain driving, some big rigs passing us left and right, nothing fell, nothing broke. So I was happy with that. All right, and the next thing that I wanted to talk about was pulling this unit into the campsite and getting everything all set up. So one thing that I'm still getting used to is the length of this unit and the width of this unit, because this unit is considerably bigger than our last trailer, which was a Grand Design. This has 3 slide outs. You've got 2 over there, and I'll walk over to this side. And while we're walking over there, our last one only had 1 slide out. The Brinkley is just under 35 feet. So when we were pulling into the campsite, it's definitely had to do a little bit of adjusting because I was used to the old trailer. And this is a pretty narrow spot. So we've got plenty of room on this side, so that wasn't too bad. But I cut the turn a little bit too much. And as you can see, got fairly close to the sky deck right here, which by the way is a really cool feature. We're in the Tucson KOA, and they have a few of these sites that have this sky deck feature, and so I wanted to make sure that we got that because that just looked so cool. But as you can see, we're like actually pretty close. This is probably about 2 feet or so. So we were close. We had to do a little bit of backing up and adjusting to get this to work, but at the end of the day, it's all good, and we're only here for one night anyway. Won't be able to use the awnings, but we have the sky deck, which keep things pretty cool, so we don't even really need our awnings. And plus, it can get kind of windy in Arizona, so not too upset about that. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the hookups over here, because I probably had my fastest night of hooking things up. It probably took us about 15 minutes from when we pulled in to when we were all set up. So here's our power cable right here. If you don't have a surge protector, I'm going to highly suggest that you get one of those. It's going to help protect your electrical system in case the electricity is bad at the campsite, or maybe you're in like a thunderstorm or something. There's our cable. 50 amps into the rig. The thing that I just love, and I know I've said this so many times, is I just love how this water hose is built into the unit. You just pull it out, you connect it, again, to some things I'm going to recommend. Here's a pressure regulator, because you don't know what the water pressure is going to be set to from the city, and you don't want to blow your pipes out. And then you have your water purifier, because like I said, we don't know what kind of water is going to be coming out of there, so you want your water purifier to make sure that's a little bit more clean. We don't usually drink camp water. Actually, we never drink camp water. We do bottled water, but you're going to be washing your hands and taking showers and stuff with this, so you like to be a little bit more clean. And then over here, this is one of the upgrades that we did. This is the Drain Master or Waste Master hose. I always get those names mixed up. They're like the same, but they're similar. So this is a cam lock fitting. So we had to install that. And what we had to do actually, and I've done a separate video that'll link to this, but you have to saw the bayonet fittings off, so like those 4 little prongs that go around there. So we had to saw those off, sand them down, take some ABS cement and put this thing on there, this cam lock adapter. And this thing is just such a game changer, because if you've ever camped in colder conditions with the bayonet fittings, sometimes like the hose will get stuck, or at least it's gotten stuck for me, and it's like kind of hard to get off. And obviously, like, you can't drive with this thing just kind of dangling down, so you just kind of got to fuss with it until it gets unhooked. This is not going to have that problem. You just basically take these levers, you pull them, and then you can pull this out. Also, with the cam lock fitting, it's like super tight, so there's going to be no risk of spilling anything, and it's just a better system, in my opinion, overall. This Waste Master hose, we really like this as well too. It's very durable. It's the best one on the market, and it's even got a shutoff valve right there. Once we pull this out, we can just shut that shutoff valve so we don't have any toilet stuff or black tank stuff dripping, which is nice. Now, with this system, the attachment right here does not come off, so it will not fit in the traditional type of like storage tube area. So we had to install this, and I'll see if we can get to the back here. And so I just attached this little fitting right here to the already provided storage tube down there, and that's how we store it. I was a little worried about this in the drive, because this is held together with some ABS cement and a brace that I put on, and I was expecting to have this thing be on the side of the road at some point, but actually it held up very well, and I think this should last us for the duration of our trip. One other thing that I wanted to point out was I've done a lot of videos, and people have asked a lot of questions about the emergency override for the electronic valves, because the valves, and I'll go up here, those right there are electronic, so if in the event of a failure, you have to override them, and there's a little hatch down here, and that hatch likes to pop open, because all it is Velcro. So we had to put new Velcro on, and it hasn't actually popped open at all. And like I said, we did a pretty intense day of driving yesterday, and hatch did not pop open. I think Brinkley's fixed that with future models, but if you have some of the earlier serial numbers, you're going to have that issue. And one cool feature that we did not notice actually until now is that each window, if you can kind of see there, it's reflective. And I'll come over here, you can kind of see it there too. And this is actually really nice, because we are in the Arizona heat. I mean, it is June in Tucson, and when I'm filming this, it's about 8:40 in the morning, and it's already probably at least 80 degrees, 90 degrees. And so these reflectors, they really do a good job of keeping the sun out. So when we actually woke up this morning, I mean, we had the AC running all night, because of course we're in Arizona, but we were cold, and so the Brinkley did a good job of keeping all of the heat out of this unit and keeping it nice and at a comfortable temperature. And that's going to do it for today's video. We're going to continue posting updates. We're on a fairly extensive cross-country trip, so we'll keep you guys updated with all the things that we find our Brinkley. So, what kind of things are you interested in? We want to hear from you. What kind of features did we not go over that you're interested or curious about? Do you own a Brinkley? Are you thinking about owning a Brinkley? So, put some comments and questions down below. We'd love to hear from you and do our best to answer what you're curious about. Make sure to like and subscribe, and as always, keep exploring.